Let's help our small businesses go global. Only on Q95, the big station.
We have to buy local in this country, supporting local, for boost the economy. Purchasing local, the best remedy to propel. Why do
Nature Isle Small Business Buzz, NISBB. Are you an entrepreneur looking to take your business to the next level? Are you thinking about starting your own business? NISBB is your go-to resource radio show for valuable information, practical tips, and motivation you need to succeed. Q95, the big station.
we have to buy local in this country, supporting local, for boost the economy. Purchasing local, the best remedy to propel. Why do
Don't sleep, don't sleep. Wake up. Kalaya money. Wake up. Kalaya money. Wake up. Get the moolah. Wake up. Oh.
And a pleasant good afternoon. It's another episode of the Nature Isle Small Business Buzz program right here on Q95 FM radio. And of course, it is 4 minutes past the hour of 4 p.m. And of course, it's always a pleasure being your host as always. And of course, I am for this involvement, and this program was brought to you compliments Archipelago Trading Agents of Beacon Insurance Limited. And of course, we're really excited. We really have a guest in studio that you, of course, may have seen around. And of course, basically, that's basically the foundation for our conversation this afternoon. And don't forget, we're always speaking about economic empowerment and financial independence here in Dominica, empowering our entrepreneurs. And of course, that's the way to go. And of course, this afternoon is no different. And of course, we do hope you guys enjoyed our program on Tuesday afternoon. And of course, we're looking forward to keeping you guys engaged throughout the year of 2024. And of course, we are live on our Facebook and YouTube pages. That's Q95 FM Radio. And if you're not on our Facebook Live, jump on. We have a guest in studio. And we will allow our guests to introduce themselves in a few minutes after this short break from our sponsors.
Let me see you. Life doesn't always go to plan. Home is your safe place. So when the unexpected happens, make sure it's protected. Beacon's home and contents policies can help by providing complete cover for losses due to fire, theft, and natural disasters. Call Archipelago Trading at 448-5247 or visit beacondominica.com and get complete cover for your home and contents today. Insurance is a promise to pay. At Beacon, we keep our promises. Yeah. Living in the positive.
Nature Isle Small Business Buzz, NISBB. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Only on Q95, the big station. Empowering entrepreneurs from small to tall. Insights, inspiration, and expert advice to help our small businesses realize their immense potential to grow and flourish and take their rightful vital place in our economy. Let's help our small businesses go global. Only on Q95, the big station.
We have to buy local in this country, supporting local, for boost the economy. Purchasing local, the best remedy to propel. Why do
And we are back. Thank you for joining us. Those of you who have hopped onto our Facebook Live, good afternoon to you. And those of you tuning in via radio, good afternoon to you as well. And we do hope that this 1 hour program will always keep you informed, educated, and of course, entertained. And those of you on the Facebook Live, you can see we have a guest in studio. We have majority of you guys know him. Of course, we'll allow him to introduce himself. Good afternoon. How are you doing so far?
Good afternoon. I'm doing well, just a bit tired.
Perfect,
Yeah,
perfect. Yes, the week is, I mean, tomorrow is already Friday. How has the week been for you so far? I mean, it's been wet.
yeah.
Otherwise, how it's been?
That's been good so far. Not so much work this week,
Yeah.
thank God. I had a very rough weekend last weekend. It was first communion, so I had a lot of cakes.
Wow.
But as the week unfolded, it got a little lighter because I didn't have so much. Yeah.
Wow. And of course, welcome to the studios of Q95 FM radio. And of course, please introduce yourself to our viewers on the Facebook Live and those of our listeners tuning in via radio.
Sure. So my name is Akim Ismael, from the village of Mahu. I grew up in Mahu, but I now reside in Jimit, which is very close.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm the owner of ADI Creations. Yes, many of you all know me by my cakes, my lovely cakes. So I'm one of Dominica's, you know, very own cake artists. There are many cake artists on island, so I'm one of them. And I have been doing cakes for a while, since high school, and I continued when I started working. So I really went into business sometime around 2016. Really
Yeah.
started. But it's not only cakes, but I'm also into music as well.
Wow.
So a lot of you all know me by singing, and of course playing in church.
Wow. And of course, you're very multi-talented.
Yes,
That's
I
that's it.
am.
What
I am the many gifts that God bestowed onto me.
Amen.
Yeah.
So you're the owner of ADI Creations, and those of you listening and viewing, again, this is Akim Ismael. He is the owner of ADI Creations. So you said you went into business in 2016.
Right. So 2016 thereabouts. And
Yeah.
I really registered my business in 2019.
Wow. So
Yes.
so tell us the backstory behind this. I mean, baker, and you have your other skills.
Yes.
Why baking? I mean, yeah, tell us from when the idea of being a baker and even starting your own business. Like, bring us back.
Okay. So we have to go way back
Yes, let's go there.
in time. All right. So I started baking towards the mid high school.
Yeah.
That's around like second form, third form.
Wow.
At the Isaiah Thomas. So I did food and nutrition. Well, everybody had to do food and
Yeah.
nutrition, and that's really when during food form, that's when you had to decide, which of the subjects that you're going to choose. And I remember we had an open day at ITSS, and I was asked by one of the teachers to bring in, a cake, if I could bring in a cake.
Yeah.
So I am saying to myself, why is it that she's asking me to bring in a cake? So right there, I said, maybe I can ask my aunt to assist. So I told her, yes, I will go ahead and ask my aunt, who was a baker at the time. She's deceased. So when I got home, I spoke to my mom about it, and I asked my mom, what do you think about it? Should I ask Auntie Audrey about, the cake making? And she told me, why don't you ask her? She doesn't think that it would be a problem.
Yeah.
So I went on, I called my aunt, and she agreed. She said, Akim, I will come at home. I will come by your mom, and I will show you. We'll do the cake together. We'll ice it together. And that's when it really started, my love for, baking and icing cake. So, after that, I said, Auntie, maybe I should, follow your
Yeah.
footsteps. So I asked her to come by her whenever she's doing cakes, because at the time, most weekends, she would have wedding cakes, and she never really had the help. It's more her nephews and nieces would keep her company, but none of them would actually put their hands in there.
Wow.
So, right there, I told her, Auntie, I don't mind, come to learn. And from that weekend, the following weekend, I started with her. And
Wow.
that's when it began.
And of course, you're not fresh to the entrepreneur landscape or
Yeah.
area here in Dominica. So this is where you really took it upon yourself to really embrace the skill of being in the kitchen.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was, huh. And then you decide that you want to continue baking or being in the
Oh
kitchen.
yes, oh yes. I
Yeah.
started looking at different things online. Um, you know, at the time, online wasn't so famous.
Yeah.
When I went to high school, but there were other cake makers and stuff. So I used to see pictures, and I used to tell my aunt, maybe I need to try
Hmm.
something new. So what she used to tell me, when I go home, that I could try to mix the icing and try to make flowers, try to do
Yeah.
the piping. She gave me some tips, and I really used to stay up and do it.
And what age?
I was at the time I was 14, 15.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And of course, when you decided, hey, I want to really become a business person, what was it like? I mean, really developing the business mindset. What was the process like for in terms of,
Well, it started. I had to ponder on it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had to ponder on it because there are many challenges with that comes with
Hmm.
these decisions,
Yes.
and the first one is money. At the time I wasn't working,
Uh-huh.
so I mean I could not develop that business. But I used to do little cakes for my family, like my sister, my cousins. I remember my cousin sending me a cake that some time ago. Tell me, you remember that cake? And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
He said, you did my birthday cake, my 18th birthday cake. And it's then I really remember how long I have been doing,
Wow.
cakes. As I said, I started in 2016 where I
Hmm.
really wanted to go into business. And but prior to that, I was always, doing cakes and helping out with my aunt. Um, but it was a tough decision to make.
Hmm.
It was a tough decision because um, I had to depend on my mom, at
Yeah.
the time, to buy me this, buy me that. Um, I needed a mixer. I remember speaking to another aunt of mine. I call her aunt, but she's really a friend. But she also saw the potential in me. So she went on and she bought me my first mixer. So she bought me a mixer, she bought me baking pans, and I am really, really grateful. And this is somebody I will never forget. Apart from my aunt who
Yeah.
taught me, that's someone I will never forget. That's Yvonne Baron George. She really went her way out, to help me in purchasing materials to, start my baking.
Yeah, and that also, brings me to the question of support. What is the support system like besides getting support from these persons? When you finally
Great.
decide, hey, I want to go there. Tell us a bit about this.
Great, it was. I remember when I did that cake for my cousin,
Hmm.
her cousin reached out to me again and asked me if I could do a cake. And then, it just started unfolding. And I really want to, say thank you to the many people who believed in me at the time, who gave me the extra motivation and who trusted me to do cakes at the time for them. So I really had the support from my community.
Wow. And of course, we know, of course, the importance of a support system
Oh
starting up a
yes.
business. But moving forward in terms of the various resources that you utilize in order
Mhm.
to become a businessman in the field, what are various references or resources that you utilized?
Well, boy, the resources. Well, I had many, people that I could contact to
Yeah.
help me with things that I needed. And of course, at the time we used to borrow a lot. So I
Yeah.
depended on people who are really into the
Hmm.
business in terms of cake making and pastries, to at least assist me. So I use the resources, the people that are around me. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you utilize your community
My
for your
community.
resources and for
Yes.
your support as well.
Because I also had another aunt who was into
Hmm.
cake making as well. She
Well,
was a pastry chef.
so the entire area really brings it into perspective as to you into that field, the influence of
Yeah.
your family member. Wow. And of course, moving fast forward, let's go to like 2023. um what was the journey like from 2016 to 2023 in terms of really managing your business, in terms of the feedback of customers, or getting a lot of customers to try your products,
Right.
your etc, acquire your services?
As you know, practice makes perfect,
Yeah.
right? I am not perfect, but I know the kind of work that I can produce. So I had a lot of people coming to me asking me, can you do this cake? And I would tell them, boy, think I can? You think I can? And it was really a challenge. And I said to myself, I'm going to challenge myself to do the
Yeah.
cake. And it got better and better. And with practice, you get better. So sometimes what I would do, I would practice doing the cake before I start doing the actual cake. So it used to help me. And that's when I realized, you have to practice. When you see things, you try it, and you cannot just do it for the first time. Although you can challenge yourself, and as you go along, you get better. Yeah.
Wow. And of course, all this speaks of the passion and the resilience as an entrepreneur. Now, what do you think are the greatest qualities of being? So let's move away from focusing on one skill as an entrepreneur or focusing on one product or service. What do you think are some of the qualities of becoming an entrepreneur?
Boy, persistence. You have to be persistent and also efficient. You have to. Um, when you want something, you have
Yeah.
to go for it. When you want something, you have to go for it. Not everybody have the skills and the qualities that it takes, but you have to build on it. Yeah.
Wow. And of course, from 2016 to 2024, what are some of the greatest achievement that you can look back and say, hey, I am not regretting ever starting off a business into baking as an entrepreneur?
Well, um, as all Dominicans know, that I participated in the Caribbean Baking Awards. That's one of my biggest achievements, and I can say I won't regret that.
Yeah.
And I must say thank you to the public, Dominicans, for supporting. It was a long journey and it was a very difficult one. It was a hard one, having to get from Dominica, get to go to Totola, you have to, there are a lot of things that you have to take into considerations to get to that area. Um, so the baking competition itself was a challenge. And seeing that I went on and I did my best,
Mhm.
and I was able to come out first place in the baking competition itself and to actually um, get the awards of Cake Hero and Rising Star. It was such a great and exciting moment for me. Yeah.
Wow. And of course, we congratulate you on all these achievements. And of course, we like to really hear about these achievements because we believe that despite the challenges, the accomplishment, of course, really makes a person who they are. And to
Yes.
you as an entrepreneur, um, it really brings it into perspective, of course. So, are there still challenges that you currently face as a small business owner? Well, yeah. So, that question first.
Yes, there are many challenges. Well, I I have my business, but I also work. And that's one of the biggest challenge, having to work, have your daily job from 8 to 4, and then to focus on your business. There are times, I go to school. I'm a teacher. I teach at the convent high school. And there are times I go to work. I would work from 8 to 4. And then I have to get home and then I have to move into baking. And then I have to ice. So, or decorate the cake.
Yeah.
So this is one of my challenges. Sometimes I get very little to no sleep. So, and I have to go to work the next day. So sometimes I work on E. I'm very tired.
And of
Yeah.
course, how do you, I mean, while you're here, you're a teacher and you manage a business, how do you separate, your personal and your professional life?
It's hard. It's hard. Thank God there are times I can, do my stuff at school in
Yeah.
terms of, working with my cake and try to decorate it because, it's a task to leave school and have to head home all the way to gym it and, to get the cake ice and have to bring it back up to deliver. So sometimes I use the opportunity to, to do my decorating at school.
Wow.
Yeah.
And of course, that's really breathtaking, I must say. I mean, there are a number of small business owners who really make it seem really effortless in separating your professional life
Yeah.
from your personal life. And of course, the first segment of this program, of course, has been one of really getting to understand ADI creations and the person, the brains behind ADI creation, and the journey that you have gone through, the challenges that you faced, as well as some of the accomplishments that you did during your journey. And of course, we're gonna take a short break to
Sure.
really rejuvenate our mentality,
Yeah.
really to get the conversation going. But we will be right back. And to you, our listeners and viewers on our Facebook Live, of course, thank you so much for tuning in. Of course, you can call in to interact with our guests right here in studio. The numbers are 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257. Overseas numbers are 305-432-9624. Of course, you can pose your question in the comment section on Facebook. And of course, you are getting quite some support on the Facebook Live. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're not on our Facebook Live, of course, you can head right over. The Facebook page is Q95 FM Radio. And of course, don't forget the Nature Isle Small Business Buzz program is brought to you compliments Archipelago Trading Agents for Beacon Insurance Limited.
Life doesn't always go to plan. Home is your safe place. So when the unexpected happens, make sure it's protected. Beacon's home and contents policies can help by providing complete cover for losses due to fire, theft, and natural disasters. Call Archipelago Trading at 448-5247 or visit beacondominica.com and get complete cover for your home and contents today. Insurance is a promise to pay. At Beacon, we keep our promises.
Yeah. Living in the positive.
Nature Isle Small Business Buzz, NISBB. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Only on Q95, the big station, empowering entrepreneurs from small to tall. Insights, inspiration, and expert advice to help our small businesses realize their immense potential to grow and flourish and take their rightful vital place in our economy. Let's help our small businesses go global. Only on Q95, the big station.
We have to buy local in this country, supporting local, for boost the economy. Purchasing local, the best remedy to propel.
Immerse yourself in the pure and simple fragrances celebrating the best of nature, delicate flowers, the great outdoors, and the open ocean with Beep Air Freshener. Calming vanilla, berry burst, captivating orchid, cotton flower, ocean spray, and water lily make up the Beep Pure and Simple fragrance collection, capturing the purity and simplicity of nature that you can enjoy from the comfort of your home. Beep. For a happy, healthy life.
In this country.
Are you ready to dive in the world of small business success? Look no further than the Nature Island Small Business Buzz. Join us on June 6, 2024 from 4 to 5 p.m. as we host an exciting live session with none other than Akim Ismael, the creative mind behind ADI Creations Bakery. Discover the secrets behind ADI Creations Bakery success and learn how to make your business stand out in the crowd. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out, this is an event you won't want to miss. Tune in and be inspired by the passion, creativity, and innovation of small business owners like you. Mark your calendars and get ready to make unique with Akim and the Nature Island Small Business Buzz on the Q95 FM. The big station.
Living in the positive.
Nature Isle Small Business Buzz, NISBB. Are you an entrepreneur looking to take your business to the next level? Are you thinking about starting your own business? NISBB is your go-to resource radio show for valuable information, practical tips, and motivation you need to succeed in today's highly competitive market. Only on Q95, the big station.
We have to buy local in this country, supporting local, for boost the economy. Purchasing local, the best remedy to propel.
And your Aunt Angie was leading the pack. when.
Aunt Angie, what does this have to do with car damage?
Oh, right. Well, long story long, I took down the assassins and wound up inventing a new form of mixed martial arts. I became an international champion until one sore loser calmly took my car. But I was covered with CG United.
Covered for malicious damage and more. CG United. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
Always be sure you settle for more. Get up to 35% off Beacon's fully comprehensive vehicle insurance and still cover a whole lot more. Enjoy higher discounts and better coverage for any kind of vehicle, car, SUV, or pickup with free loss of use, windscreen cover, and special perils. To sign up, call Archipelago Trading at 448-5247 or log on to beacon.co.tt and settle for more today.
And welcome back, and thank you for staying tuned in by radio and, of course, logged on by Facebook. We just want to give our commenters and those on our Facebook Live a huge shout out. Of course, we have in studio Akim Ismael. He is the owner of ADI Creations. May have seen his face around social media with the baking competition. And of course, he's right here in studio. You can log into our Facebook page. That's Q95 FM Radio to see him right here in studio. And of course, our person supporting Akim and the program, we have Miss Ashma McDougall. She's giving you quite some support, Akim.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and we have Natalie and William and Adrian guy.
Yeah,
Yes.
Wine and Adrian.
Yes.
We have Albert.
Yes.
Albert and Paul.
So thank you so much, guys, for tuning in to another episode of the NISBB program. And of course, we're here with Akim, and we're just discussing about really getting persons to really understand what it's like being in the kitchen. I mean, of course, I must say I had my experience being in the kitchen, but there may be persons out there who maybe haven't been in a kitchen yet or haven't never been in the kitchen. But when it comes to baking, it's almost like being in a science lab, to be honest.
Oh, yes.
You have to get every measuring
Correct.
correctly. Exactly.
Anything throws it off.
And of course, really walk us through the process of making one of your highly ordered cake. What's the flavor you get most orders for?
Well, of course, vanilla butter. A lot of people love my butter cake. But there are two words I would want to, say: hard work. You see, hard work in the kitchen is hard work.
Yes.
It's not easy. I mean, people will stand in front of the kitchen and maybe fry 2 eggs
And
or, stew some meat.
Yeah.
But with the baking comes hard work, because you have to first bake the cake, have it cool out, and then you begin icing the cake or decorating the cake.
Wow.
Yeah.
And of course, we have a caller already. Good afternoon, caller. You are live on the NISBP program. Go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
What's this young man name again?
Akim Ismael.
Akim Ismael. I love to hear that young man there that's very interested in baking and cooking. But can you define that for me, please? Because a lot of people tell you butter. When you say butter, what kind of what you use to say butter? Because I'm making a butter cake. That butter and that margarine.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people use this margarine and they tell they use the butter.
Okay, so back in the days, people used to use the real butter.
Yes.
They use the real butter. You know what real butter is, right?
Yes, I do.
Right. So to get a nice fluffy cake, we use the margarine. Okay, so some people use the glow spread margarine, or you use the golden cream, but I use the glow spread margarine from Fine Foods.
Okay, let me ask another question. Between the butter and the margarine, which one you find that will give you a better cake?
I find the glow spread gives a better cake. The margarine.
Okay, because I love baking.
Okay.
Right? I love my pastries, especially cheese straws. People that know me know I love to make cheese straws, and I love using butter to make cheese straws. Because when you use butter, it gives you a better cheese straw.
Right.
Than using margarine.
Okay, but I use margarine for the cakes.
Yes, but margarine have a lot of water.
Well, yes, that's
all right,
true.
my dear. I love to hear you.
Thank you.
And of course, thank you so much, caller. And we were just about to discuss the process of cake baking when our
Making.
caller, yes. And of course, glue spread. That's the highly, recommended product
Products,
by
yes.
bakers, because we had this baker herself on the program sometime last week, and she actually used some of the products from Fine Foods.
Oh yes, Fine Foods, best products
The biggest brand.
and the biggest brand.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. So you have the brands from Roberts, very good brands. The
Yes.
Blue Spread. You have the Velvet Crisp shortening that I use for my buttercream frosting, and I also use the marshmallows to make and the icing, Ginger Evans icing. They're very good products.
Wow.
Highly recommended.
Yes. No, really, walk us through your kitchen. What would be like in like anytime during your kitchen? Walk us through cake baking. Maybe so get your pens and papers out, guys. You're about to really get some secret ingredients out there right now.
Well, I won't give all my ingredients, all my secret
Yeah.
recipes, but I can, discuss, I can share maybe just a few. The butter cake. I know a lot of people, the older folks, like the butter cake. I guess because it's just no other ingredients, like you have to add. Some people like the cherry as well. Is a butter cake with added cherry, the flavor and the cherries. So just a simple butter cake is very nice. You have the flavor. You put your vanilla and your almond essence and your spice that makes it even nicer to cut off the taste of the butter. Sometimes it may have a harsh taste, but you put the flavor in that adds to the cake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
walk us through what it's like making a cake, to be honest.
Right. Okay. Well, you need to have your ingredients, ready on table. Of course, back in days, people used their hands to mix the cake.
Yeah.
Mixer was a thing that came in, as of recent times. So I'm sure most of the older folks listening would attest to that. They sitting with their parents, dishes, making their cake with their basin and their wooden spoon, and to cream the butter, and each sibling would get a chance to mix the butter. But it becomes very easy with time. Year after year, so something come about. You have new inventions. So with the mixer, it makes it very much easier to produce a cake. So of course you would need your butter and your sugar to mix together with your flavoring. I mean, people do their cakes differently. Everybody have their own way of doing their cakes. I have my way of doing my cake. So I will just share how I do the butter cake with you all. So, you put in the butter and the sugar and the flavor in your spice, your nutmeg to mix on, a high speed to get that butter and that sugar to bind together and give a fluff. And thereafter you add your eggs. But of course, you have to break your eggs one by one. You can't just put all the eggs in there. You're not sure if the eggs are, if the eggs are good. And sometimes the eggs comes with a lot of fresh, so you may have to take it off. Sometimes people put a little lemon to cut off the taste, but not all the time I use lemon. So you put in your eggs to mix with the butter and the sugar, and thereafter you add your milk and then your flour together. But so you mix your dry ingredients together, so your flour and your baking powder, and then you add that. Of course, you don't mix the flour on high speed because too much mixing can spoil the texture of the cake. Yeah. And thereafter you have your cake. You put it in your pan and then into the oven, but not on a very high temperature. Yeah? I always use 340. Well, I have an electric oven, so I'm not sure. There are different ovens, but my electric ovens, I leave my oven on 340 degrees.
Wow. And of course, it's that simple to make a cake. I mean, I too have experienced in making my cake using wood, for example. That was way back when I was a child.
Of course.
Yeah, but baking and guys in a kitchen, what would you, I mean, maybe there are young people or persons out there really say, hey, I do a lot of baking, but I want to really have a business. I really want to go deeper into baking. Except, over the years, the idea of men being in kitchen, I
Oh,
mean, it's
that was a problem too with
yes.
me. You know, when my auntie told me, you want to go into this, I say, Auntie, I'm thinking of it, but you know, I always thought that baking was a woman's job.
Mhm.
You know, because most of the bakers at the time they were women.
Women, yeah.
I know there were a few guys doing cakes because their mother used to do cakes, and that's something that passed on to them. But you know, I always had the mentality that it was a woman's job. So that was kind of deterring me, you know, from, you know, developing that goal. But you know, I passed that long time.
Well, and of course, while I'm posing this question too, I want to pose that question to our viewers on the Facebook Live. You know, baking, being in kitchen, the entire mentality that's so women. How can we encourage more men to go into these areas? I mean, we're trying to be diverse out here in society. So, you know, what would you tell any young man or young boy out there saying, "Hey, I want to be a baker someday, but the society is the problem. How can I overcome all these this negative thoughts and mentality in order for me
Well,
to
you
do
have to think positive. Eh? You have to think positive. And right about now, in this day and age, there's nothing called a woman's job.
Mhm.
I mean, there are certain things that you would
Yeah.
expect a man to do. But even now, you have a lot of makeup artists who are men. We have a lot of, you know, people who do nails are men. The pedicures and manicures, they are men, you know, in these days. But though you want to encourage people, you have to go for it. You have to think positive. I mean, it's a skill. If it's a skill that you have, it's a God given talent.
Yeah.
If you have to think of, well, biblically, then you will go for it. Sometimes we think of what the public might say, we think of what people might tell us. And really, you should not be thinking that way. You
Wow.
have to tell yourself that you want to do it. If you are given a talent by God, it is your responsibility to go for it
Wow.
and to use it.
Mhm.
I always think of that scripture passage in Man with Many Talents. What about the one who only had one? He complained so much,
Yes.
you know? Yeah.
And of course, we may have a caller on the line. Good afternoon, caller.
Hey, good afternoon to
Hi,
you.
good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You are producing, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and good afternoon to the other guy. What's his name?
Mr.
Ismael.
Ismael.
Ismael. Yes, I really admire the program that you all have in this afternoon, and especially when you're asking about being in the kitchen as a man.
Yes.
And you find well, more women who used to be doing that kind of thing. But let us look at it differently,
Mhm.
where in terms of things going on at home, all the different chores, the kitchen, the everything. Let's look
Yeah.
at it as shared responsibility,
Wow.
where everybody's supposed to play their role, and not look at it as a man or woman thing. Because I personally, I love the kitchen,
Mhm.
and I really call because I love the kitchen. I don't love to eat, but I love to cook.
Yeah.
It's ironical. I love to cook, but I don't love to eat.
It is.
Yes. So baking was one of these things that I had under my belt because my mother used to bake a lot of cakes. It was a Christmas thing. It was also a Sunday thing. Whenever we ate, she always made desserts. So because I saw that, I grew up in that environment where I just tack it on. And I remember the days when I would do even what he's speaking there. And I remember back in the 80s, I have children. So in the 80s, when I had my children, I would make them the birthday cakes. And I made guitar cakes, I made doll cakes, I made all kinds of cakes.
Wow.
I mean, yes, honestly, and I talking about serious stuff. I mean, I wish I had pictures to show the things that I did back then. So I really admire you and what you're doing, and I want to tell you continue to go for it because it is. My sister is also a baker. She's in Canada, and when I went to Canada and I saw, you know what fondant is, right?
Yes, fondant,
All right.
yes.
So when I saw my sister using fondant, maybe what 8, 10 years ago, I mean, I freaked out because I've never seen that before. And
Really?
it's a wonderful thing to work with because when I was doing cakes from scratch and even icing it myself, my mother was amazed because she was it was just look and learn. And I was the kind of person that always figure out if my mother can do it, I can do it and even do it better than her because I figured I had steadier hands and I was more meticulous. I was more, so I went for it. And whenever you tell yourself you can do something, trust me, you can do it.
Oh
And
yes.
that's what it is. You just tell yourself you can do it. And you once you apply, it's about application also.
Yes.
Confidence and application. So I want to big you up. Have a good one, my brother. Nice. Great
Thank
program.
you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carl. And of course, the food nutrition and health program that is being done in school right now. I mean, can we fully utilize that particular subject? Really crafted in sort of a way that really brings in a lot of men to be involved in that part, because I too did it for during my 5 years of high school. And of course that's an area that we really should embrace, but are we fully utilizing it to really attract our men out there? Because I mean, in the olden days, the older folks out there have that mentality, or parents of course believe that men supposed to be well equipped, learn how to cook, iron, clean, laundry, etc., and all these skills. So, how can, besides the educational system, how can we go out there and really create programs, craft programs to really, address that particular issue?
Well, we have the adult education
Yeah.
program. Apart from the food and nutrition programs that they have in that school, it's actually a subject. Well, of course, you have the theory part of it, and you also have the practical part. And I think a lot of the younger folks, the students, the children at school, they enjoy the practical part, actually being in there to put their hands in there. So for the people who left school, I mean, there are a lot of women, there are a lot of men into cooking, but do they really bring out the talent? No.
Mhm.
But we have these programs at the adult education division that allow them to learn, and it's more practical. It's not the theory part. Their hands are in there because I do the teaching for adult education.
Wow.
I did it a couple of times. I remember going to Laplin, and I remember this young lady telling me, sir, I really want to get my hands in there. I really want to learn. I really want to see how you're doing these things. And if we do more of these things, it will kind of encourage them. But sometimes they send out these flyers and this announcement, and you don't get a lot of people to register.
Yeah.
You more finding the women registering because they are eager to learn these things. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, we tend to really ask entrepreneurs the in-depth detail of running a business. Really, the time you decide to start off your business, understanding cash flow and budgeting. Really explain to us, how did you really take that in terms of understanding cash flow and budgeting of the
Well,
business?
of course, at the beginning it was a tight one.
Yeah.
You start off with just whatever you have on your account. You have to buy your stuff, and then after receiving the money, then you have to replenish your stock. Of course, every business have its own accounting.
Mhm.
You have to account for everything, your pans, all the little let's say the silver sweets that you have, the dredges, the gold dredges, your molds, your stuff. I mean, these are investments, so you have to take all of that into consideration. So I mean, cash flow, when you get that money, of course you have to match it, your spending, your expenses, and your income, to know where you have the profit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, let's jump to marketing
Mhm.
one time. What are the various strategies that you have utilized in order to really get your business out there? I mean, the digital space. I
Mhm.
mean, this is one of the areas that a lot of persons utilize. What was the various strategies that you decide that you want to utilize in order to get your business out there?
Well, of course, we know right now social media is the number one marketing
Yes.
strategy. So recently, I mean, when I used to do my cakes, I would take the pictures, and then because of time, some people find it's very easy to just go on the phone and just post the pictures. But because of time, I didn't used to post, very often. So sometimes I would just do a photo dump. I remember Miss Landa telling me about photo dump, and you
Yeah.
should not do photo dump. And it's now I really understanding what she was trying to say. So I use Instagram and Facebook, Right now, I have somebody managing the Instagram and the Facebook because I am not able to do the two.
Yeah.
Having to bake and to, even to go to school and even to sit down and correct my papers. I don't really have the time to go on there and post pictures and do a little caption and try to put in a reel and try to do highlights and all of those things. So I hired somebody to take care of the ordering, to receive orders, and then to do the social medias, to put the pictures and highlights and stuff like that on social media.
And how can persons find your social media pages?
Okay, on Instagram is adicreations.dm and on Facebook ADI Creations.
And do you have a contact information?
Yes, I do. My contact information, my number, the business number is 612-0707. Very easy to remember. So it is 612-0707. And I do have an email address, which is adicreations.dm@gmail.com. And there you can find the Google form. I also have it attached to my Instagram and Facebook, if you want to place an order.
And of course, these are the ways that you can get into contact with ADI Creations.
Yes.
But what differentiates your business from the rest of the bakeries in the industry? Yes. So you're laughing at one there.
Yes, I mean, okay. Baking is an art, all right? It's an art. You have to use your creativity.
Yeah.
And of course, a lot of people love the inside of the cake, which is very important. Taste is important, but also is what catches the eye, the outside of the cake, meaning the decorations.
Yeah.
So I try my best to do something that is very neat. Okay, I mean, I'm not a beginner. I'm not an intermediate, but I just want to say, I mean, I don't want to put it that way. Like some of the people say that Dominica's Cake Boss.
Yeah.
Okay, because you go into Cake Boss online and you will see the difference between Cake Boss cakes and other cakes, right? So I kind of differentiate it by the look. Okay, you can know when I do a cake.
And of course, I think every program I tend to say that I may sound like a broken record at this point. But in terms of, I'm really huge on the environmental aspect. How do you ensure sustainability and environmental sustainability in your business?
Well, in terms of the materials that I use, well, of course, right now they try to make it very easy for us now in terms of the materials, things that we can get rid of properly. Well, there are certain products that we use that may, of course, affect the environment, but we try as much as possible to dispose of it properly. All right? Yeah.
So and the environmental aspect is one that you fully embrace.
Very much so.
Okay, and do you have any? I mean, you do baking on your own. You handle everything on your own. You
Everything.
have no staff employed at this point.
Not as yet. But I had one young lady that was trying to, train. And also I am trying as much as possible over the summer to see how much that I can do. Because I have a friend whom that I bake with we are very good friends. So I bake with her all the time.
Yeah.
That's Jody Sweetheart. So very soon she'll be leaving me. So I have to hold on the fort, so it's going to be a bit difficult and it's going to be very taxing. So I have to try to get somebody, to help me out.
Yes. Again, this question is for you. Can you discuss any collaborations or partnerships that you have taken to enhance your bakery offerings and reach new audiences?
Partnership. Well, I just said Jody, Jody Sweetheart. We partner. That's my baking partner.
And as it seems like we have a call though. Okay, we seems like we have a call. Hold on, caller. Thank you for calling. Give me 1 minute. Perfect.
another question I'd like to ask this
Sure.
young man, this young gentleman there. And on you looking at baking sessions sometime on TV,
Mm-hmm.
especially at the icing. You see, they're using a new form of icing instead of doing it like how it used to be in the olden days, using the icing sugar and whatever you have to do the icing sugar to. They're using a new method called it's fondue or something.
Fondant. It's fondant.
Do they
Yes.
have that in Dominica?
Yes. We do have it. Some people import it, but I make my own fondant. Well, before I
Okay.
used to make it until we got some new invention.
All right, then I just wanted to find out
Yes,
because
making it easier.
there's one part of a cake I wouldn't eat for nobody. Icing.
I see. Okay.
All
Yeah,
right,
but
that's fine.
fondant, we use marshmallows to make the fondant.
Wow.
Yeah.
And of course, feedback and criticism from customers. How do you handle it? I mean, like you said, you're not perfect, so
Right.
you expect some of these areas. So how do you handle it?
Very well. I like people to be honest. When I give you a cake, I always ask, how was it?
Yeah.
And like I said, I like them to be honest with me. And most of the times, if not 98% of the time, I get good reviews.
Now, before we're just drawing down to our last couple minutes,
Mhm.
but let's bring into the picture the economic area, let's
Mhm.
just say. So, how do you handle challenges related to supply chain disruptions or market prices or ingredients? I mean, this is one of the topic, the
Boy, that's
areas
a
that we talk. Yes.
toughest one.
Now, tell us you okay. Yes. So, while you answer this question, put into perspective the COVID-19
Mhm.
pandemic and Hurricane Maria. Yeah. So, tell us a bit. How do you know? Yeah. How do you handle it?
Um, I had a few people calling in during that time saying,
Mhm.
well, we have COVID, but I still want my cake. I remember that I was down with COVID, and then people would
Wow.
still, you know, I'm not saying nag, but people would
Mhm.
still say, can you do my cake? I don't care. I need the cake. I need it. And I was like, I'm not going to take that risk
Mhm.
because, I have to touch the box. I have to prepare the cake. I have to ensure that I wash my hands all the time. I have to make sure that the place is sanitized. If I cough, that kind of a thing. So I was being very careful, but they were still on me for the cake, sir. Yeah. So, but it placed a little dent at the time, though you wanted to do it, but you
Mhm.
still have to be careful because, handling money was an issue. That's one way germs can pass.
Yeah.
So some people will say, because of COVID, I'm not ordering cake. Some will say that I want the cake. And then I would have to say, we have to be careful. Can you bank me instead? Can
Yeah.
you use this online transaction because I don't want to touch the money? Because we had to be very careful. So that's something that we had to, take into consideration. But it did place a dent.
Wow.
Yeah.
And of course, we're faced with inflation, the war in
Oh,
Ukraine.
oh.
Yeah. So, handling it currently, like, are these some of the challenges that you continue to face? And how are you addressing this challenge?
Yes, it is a challenge because our prices, cake prices, the cake
Yes.
makers and the people doing these things, it all depends on the cost of goods and materials. As we know now, there's a rise in the cost of materials and goods. Take, for example, a few years ago, let's say, well, I'm just going to talk about like a year ago, let's say 2 years ago. I have seen powdered sugar,
Yeah.
icing sugar, rise, rise in like 2 months, 3 months. So every 2 months, it was just going up and up.
Mhm.
And of course, with the rise in costs, we have to increase our prices.
Wow.
It's not a fault of ours, but there's nothing we can do about it. So our prices go based on cost of goods and cost of materials.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's your strategy of cushioning the cost that you face.
Oh yes.
Okay. Perfect. So we seem to be running our last couple minutes down to the program, and this is where we really move away from the entrepreneur hat per se and really go into a mentor aspect in terms of starting. So the question goes like this: there may be a young person or someone looking to start off a business, any business. And we have a lot of entrepreneurs here in Dominica, and we want to give them a huge shout out right now. Huge shout out to all our entrepreneurs out there who continue to really embrace the area of being your own boss, the dream
Yes,
of
and
every single
a
person.
lot of them in the shade.
Let me tell you, yes. So we need you guys to get out there, and we're thankful for this platform that we can actually assist to a certain extent in terms of shedding light on our entrepreneurs here in Dominica. But you're gonna be in the role of mentor for last couple minutes. Someone is looking to start up a business, any type of business here in Dominica. What would be some of your advice that you'll provide to them, like in terms of if they're stuck and saying, "Hey, how do I get started?" or where do I go next? So, what are some of the advice that you'll provide to them?
It's not a very easy road. It's not a very easy thing to just wake up one morning and say, "Okay, I want to start a business." It's something that you have to ponder on.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody have their own skill, but it's developing on that skill. That is what is important. Um, with time, you get better, and then you want to join, you want to open up that business, but you will come across many challenges. One of the challenges, finance. And I always tell people to start a business. I mean, you have the banks, you have the credit unions available to you. You also have the facilities that government provided for us. So I want to tell them, just take advantage of it. I mean, with time, the money will come in,
Yeah.
To pay back that loan. But when you want to start a business, if you don't have the finance, you have to go to the bank. You must go to the bank. I started off my business with a loan, and then with time, it just got better and better. And one of the things, and I said it earlier on, you have to be positive. You have to remain positive, because you cannot allow the public to do it for you.
Yeah.
You have to do it for yourself. All right? You have to be positive about it.
Wow. And of course, embracing the opportunities present on
Present,
island,
yes.
and having a positive mindset. Two most important advice that a young person who looking to start off a business can get. And of
Yes.
course, this is perfect to bring down the curtains for our program right here. And it is 5 p.m. on the dot right here in the studios of Q95 FM Radio. And of course, Akim, I want to tell you a huge thank you for accepting even the invitation to be on here.
You're welcome.
I mean, this may be the first time that your viewers, persons, may be hearing your voice, for example, and really seeing you right here in studio. And of course, we do appreciate you being there and really sharing your journey as an entrepreneur and some of the challenges and your accomplishments, as well as providing advice to new and upcoming business owners
Sure.
in Dominica. And of course, we wish you all the best for
Thank
ADI
you.
Creations as you go up there and really, make a positive contribution to the economy of the country in Dominica.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And of course, guys, to our viewers and listeners of Q95 FM Radio and beyond, this has been another episode of the Nature Isle Small Business Buzz program, brought to you compliments Archipelago Trading, agents of Beacon Insurance Limited. And of course, we will be right back with you guys next week, Tuesday, of course, Tuesday and Thursday. That's 4 to 5 p.m. And of course, we have guest already waiting for next week. So we're looking forward to, being back on and really keeping you engaged, informed, and entertained at the same time. So of course, we look forward to seeing you guys same time, same place next time. Do enjoy your weekend. And yeah, stay tuned. We have the evening news package coming up at 5:20 p.m.
Sunrise, sunrise, hurry, hurry.